right here next to me, Andrei Knight, to join me today for a very mindful conversation about Tantra. How amazing is that? Oh my God, I'm just so happy to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be on your show.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, so every time I talk to someone about Tantra, or I mention the word Tantra, the first thing that comes to their mind is sex.
Sure. It's understandable.
So I wanted to bring you here also because we're working together in a project. But I wanted to bring you here in the show and tell us what Tantra really is.
Well, it's really interesting. Tantra, if I had to sum it up, it's the study of energy, first and foremost. And if you have an awareness of energy, like a real awareness, a tangible awareness where you can see it, feel it, work with it, you can understand where it would have applications in the bedroom. Certainly, it will make your sex life way, way better. Take it to a totally different level, really. But that's not the only thing you can use energy for. Improve your career. It can improve your abundance. I can't think of an area of life that can't be enhanced with an understanding of energy and a little sprinkle of energy in there as a spice.
Absolutely.
To give you an idea, in my clubhouse rooms, we've been going back to the original 112 sutras that they say are the origin of Tantra. It's 112 lines of poetry, and each one is an exercise. Out of 112, that means there's 106 that have nothing to do with sex.
Right.
To give you a comparison, there's 9 that deal with breath. In fact, the first 9 deal with breath, and most of the other 100 deal with meditation, really, going inwards. But the funny thing is, nobody ever refers to me as Andrei the meditation guy or Andrei the breath guy, right? That's Wim Hof.
Listen to you. I was like, I need to follow this guy.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's how I connected with you, because of energy. It's like your energy really connected with my energy for what I was looking for at that time. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. It's almost like, and like you said, Tantra, it's about energy.
It's ultimately about energy. Well, so is sex.
Right. Yes.
People are craving sex all the time, but what they're really craving is that deeper energetic connection. They just don't know quite how to verbalize it, how to put form to it. But oftentimes that's what they're craving when they're out there looking for sex.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They're looking for connection.
It's that deeper connection.
Right. And the more I study it and the more I practice it, that's what I'm learning, that it's all about the collective, connecting with everyone, because at the end of the day, we're all connected in this wholeness.
Well, that's an important point. I'm always advocating Tantra because it is the most amazing tool I found for self-actualization, connecting to yourself, really finding yourself, healing yourself. As I mentioned, moving your career forward, even things like this, unblocking creativity, attracting the ideal relationship if you're not already in one. Yes, there's all these personal benefits. My background's therapy. When I discovered Tantra, like, there was no looking back, because it's like therapy on supercharge, really. But beyond all of those personal benefits, yes, it's exactly what you bring up. What about how we affect the outside world and society as a whole? Beyond just, hey, if we're all better people, we're all going to get along better, sure. But beyond that, we're always transmitting energy. Always. You can't shut that off. But what we have control over is the kind of energy you're transmitting.
What kind of energy am I giving back to the world?
This is the same principle that we talk about with the law of attraction. But it's not just desirable things and the things we want. We can just as easily manifest our fears. That's what people aren't conscious of. Everybody complains about how awful the world is and all the problems with it, but we don't often take responsibility for it. We each have a hand in creating that and contributing to that. And just as easily, we can turn that around. We can put a different sort of energy. We can make a conscious decision to start emitting a totally different kind of field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, coming from, the mind, the brain, working with the subconscious, I notice in my own practice as a therapist, as a hypnotherapist, working with the subconscious, is that when I go deep into the subconscious, I have learned that you can go deep into the soul and connecting with the spirit and connecting with the soul, the energy, which it has a very powerful, energetic healing effect on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
The person that is being healed and as the healer.
It's always mutual, isn't it? It's always mutual.
Yes, absolutely. And it is all about energy. So the more and more I even practice in my own practice, the more I'm understanding there is Tantra behind it.
There really is.
Yes.
Like for me, I've been practicing Tantra my whole life. I just didn't always know there was a word for it. There was a collective body of study around this. I've just been doing pieces of it instinctually. Really.
Yes. Yeah.
And
yeah.
And then you find out that there's actually a word for it. People have actually studied this stuff. There's a body of work about it.
Right. I know. That's how it feels. Yeah. And then you start connecting with people that are also practicing too. And that energy, that connection of energy with the other person is such a deep connection.
Yeah.
Very deep connection, very healing, but also it almost takes you back to where you come from, really.
It's all about getting back to the soul aspect.
Yes.
Even your work with regression, connecting with most wounds start with the child, the inner child. Absolutely.
The inner child. Absolutely.
It's the same. So now, how, like in your practice, because you have a therapy background like I do, how has that affected or influenced your practice? Having this broader awareness.
It is making it so much more meaningful to a deeper soul healing power. Not on just on me, but that I know that somebody can heal faster, more
permanently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like they have this shift of energy.
Yeah.
Letting go and allowing for better, more powerful things to come in their life.
Exactly.
Reprogramming, it's almost like the way I see it, the brain is like we have this old software that we were programmed with, through our generation, through our parents, through teachers, everything.
Society, ancestral, there's so much.
Yes. So it's this old software that needs to be moved out. Upgraded. Because there is new software there.
And that's what I noticed, right? To use that analogy, like different forms of therapy, it's like, okay, you can change some of the programming. You can install new software. You can do new things. This is changing the operating system itself that the software runs on.
Yes.
It's like literally getting at the core.
Right.
So even the new software you're installing will run differently because the underlying
it will
operating
just
system
get upgraded automatically.
Yeah. Almost like you're doing auto updates.
Right? It's like auto updates.
You're changing the underlying operating system itself, the thing that the software runs on. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. I know. It's like it is mind blowing for me.
Yeah. It continues to be mind blowing for me. I've been in this space for 20, maybe 25 years. My mind is still blown on an almost daily basis.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, oh my God. It's hard to express with words.
It really is. It really is. Well, shortly before doing this broadcast, I mean, we experienced the tantric meditation together.
We did. We just did a meditation just 15 minutes ago. And
Tell us about that.
It was amazing.
Because that's not words, that's experience.
It was like an out of this body experience, out of this world experience. So much more like you're looking into the energetic world, not just the physical world.
Yeah. And physically seeing it, experiencing it with your senses, not just imagining
Not
it.
just imagining, you
Not
see
just
it.
visualizing
Like,
it.
this is really happening. This is happening. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So I was sitting across from Andrei, and we are eye gazing, right? It's like eye to eye. And the way I saw it is like how this energetic field was covering your body.
You saw auras.
And how it's almost like your face was like changing through it too. Which I don't know if it was my past, like a projection of my past lives, or it was really your past lives as you were changing.
It can be both. It can be both. You learn to distinguish the two after a little while. But absolutely, seeing across time, seeing through matter, all of this stuff that mystics talk about, we think it's like allegory. No, it's real.
It's real. It's really real.
It's actually real.
Yeah, it's really real.
And that was 15 minutes.
That was 15 minutes. I know. Imagine what it could do if you do that as a daily practice.
I do it as a daily practice.
No, I know you do it as a daily practice. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
How has your life, in the way you see the world now, has changed because of your Tantra practice?
It might be easier to ask, how hasn't it changed? Everything has changed. Literally everything. I liken it to that moment where Neo wakes up and realizes the world was an illusion. This is what the real world is. And these are the rules by which it's governed and how it works. And it's much more malleable than you thought. You can actually change anything you want. We human beings, we've kind of learned to live life by default, and we've given a lot of our power away. That's really what it is. It's not that the world is a terrible place. We've given our power away and we've allowed it to become so. So Tantra really is about reclaiming your power back. Where it differs from other traditions is like there's no guru to worship. Nobody's above anybody else. It's about rediscovering and reclaiming your own power. Any good guru in the Tantra world, they're going to put the lens right back on you. And they're going to show you how to reclaim your power, not how to give your power away to them.
Right. Yes.
That's the difference.
Yes. It's a balance.
Osho, one of the great teachers, he even said Tantra is not a religion. It's the exact opposite of a religion. And that's why you're not seeking your power from an external source, nor are you giving it away. It's about finding your own power within
yourself.
So what changes? How do you see the world differently? Everything. Literally everything becomes different.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's like, wow.
I mean, I'll give you a practical example. I was talking with some of my team. We were outlining our goals for the coming years. And, we're working on building an online platform. We've also been discussing offline, like in the real world, how cool it would be to have physical spaces, actual retreat centers where people can go, not just talk about this stuff, but experience it and study it. And everybody was kind of saying like, yeah, that would be nice to do someday. That kind of thing takes a lot of money. Nice to do someday. And I kept telling them, no, if you don't know the how, it's because you haven't crystallized the what in enough detail yet. Focus on the what, not the how. The how will, in this case, the money, the how will always be a hurdle. So if you focus on the how, you get stuck. Focus on the what, trusting that the how will take care of itself and the what takes care of itself. We got the funding for our project literally 24 hours later. 24 hours after I told them, don't worry about the how, I called them back. I'm like, hey, guess what? We have an interested donor.
Yep.
And the thing is, I didn't go out and seek out donors. They called me. They came to me and said, I heard about what you're doing. I'm really interested. I would love to support this. I have the money. I don't have the creative ideas. I love your ideas. Like this literally happened within 24 hours. And I called them back and I said, hey, ladies, we don't have to worry about the money anymore. That's how it works.
Yeah.
When you deal with the physical, of course, things are more difficult. The physical realm is more dense.
Yes.
It takes more energy to create change. When you deal with, using our analogy again, when you deal with the source code, when you deal with things on an energetic level, it takes much less effort. It's much like Tantra, much like orgasm. It's much more about surrendering and receiving than it is about forcing your way through.
Right.
There's a difference between power and force.
Absolutely.
Force always takes effort, and force will always lose because force creates resistance.
Right.
Power doesn't create resistance. Power is just this place of being, this place of receiving.
Yes.
That's really the difference. That's why things become so much easier.
So how would you say to someone who is just starting to practice Tantra? What would you tell to someone who's just starting to practice Tantra?
Well, I would say...
How do you surrender?
Great question. Well, since the 112 sutras start with breath, I would say start with breath. The ancients considered that the most important part. Start by breathing and start by actually following your breath with your awareness, because you see, energy follows awareness. So if you move your awareness, you will naturally move your energy with it. Start by taking deep breaths all the way down, like taking your time to really fill your belly, but follow the breath from your nostrils down to your belly and follow it on its way back up. Don't just do one or two and go, okay, I got it, next exercise.
Yeah.
Like this one thing.
Take your time.
This one thing, they say, is how Buddha achieved his enlightenment.
Okay.
There's 112 exercises. Buddha only needed one. He spent like years with this one thing. He didn't get bored after the first 2-3 breaths. But really take time, follow your breaths in and out, and then start becoming aware of the gap between the breaths. That space where inhale turns to exhale.
Oh, wow.
What is that space like? And then the other space when exhale turns back into inhale.
I never thought about that gap.
Yeah. The gap is the magic, because you're neither inhaling nor exhaling. You're neither. There's nothing. And therefore there's no you, there's no ego in that moment either. There's literally nothing.
Oh, that's the...
And that's where it begins. But it's not 4 distinct parts. It's not inhale, stop, exhale, stop. Keep it one smooth, circular, curved breath. The same breath that leaves is the same breath that came in. And then become aware of that gap in that transition.
Wow.
Yeah. That's one of 112 exercises.
And people would say, okay, that's very simple. Is that it?
Buddha spent years on that.
Exactly. So it can't be that simple.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
It takes practice.
You have to, well, yeah, the very word Tantra itself means practice. Yeah. That's what it actually means, practice or technique. Now you can break it down. The individual syllables also have meanings. Tan means fabric or something woven. It can mean 2 lovers coming together. It can mean the fabric of the entire universe. It's thought to be a metaphor for reality.
Okay.
Tra means to transcend or to break free from.
Okay.
So the practice or techniques for transcending reality. It could be also interpreted as techniques for being woven closer together. But it can also mean techniques for transcending reality. But the key part is practice. Okay. The word Tantra as a whole means practice. Practice is not something you do just once.
Right.
Practice is something you do over and over and over, right? How do you get to Carnegie Hall? The old saying, you practice, practice, practice. The same is true as for music as with spiritual pursuits.
Right.
The more you practice, the deeper you're going to go. Something simple for people to start, this breathing exercise that I talked about. 3 to 5 minutes every morning before you reach for your phone.
Okay.
Sleep with that thing in airplane mode, please.
So that would be the first thing in the morning.
First thing in the mornings. It's better to spend 3 to 5 minutes every morning than it is to spend half an hour to an hour once a week or once a month.
Okay.
The consistency is more important than length.
Okay.
And first thing in the morning, when you're in that groggy state that most of us try to shake off, That's the state that mystics like to spend as much time in as possible. Absolutely.
Would you recommend to do it at nighttime before sleeping too?
Also,
okay.
It's not good to look at your phone last thing before you go to sleep. That's a strobe light. It stimulates the nervous system. It doesn't calm it. Even if you have all the filters, it's still strobing.
Right.
Yeah. Instead, put your phone down, spend some time meditating. If I can get you to do 2, at night is great too. But at least start with the 1 in the morning. 3 to 5 minutes before you reach for your phone, before you take it off of airplane mode. Spend that time with yourself and with your breath. And remember, your energy is going to follow your awareness and your breath. Okay, so really you're circulating energy.
Right.
Spend 3 to 5 minutes connecting with yourself first, then let in the outside world, all the notifications, news, requests, and meet them from a more grounded, more centered place.
Right.
See what happens.
Reaching for the phone first thing in the morning.
See how the rest of your day
and
goes.
Starting to already stressed out because there's so much going on, right?
You can still meet all that, but meet that from a different place. And see how differently your day goes. See how differently your week goes if you do it 7 days in a row. See how differently your month or your life goes.
Yeah, like for me, first thing I do when I wake up, it's I meditate for at least 5 minutes. 7, sometimes a little bit more, but at least 5 minutes.
Perfect.
Going to bed, same thing. It has become a habit now.
Good. Yeah, and that's the thing. After a while, you won't even have to try.
Brushing your teeth in the morning. It's like you don't go.
I'll do 20 to 30 sometimes, and I'm like, is that it?
Right.
Sometimes you want it to be longer, but you're right. In Vedic India, it was considered as important part of your hygiene as brushing your teeth or taking a shower.
Right.
If you went in public without meditating, people would be like, ew, that person's energy is off.
Most people walking around in the world surviving.
They're going from one crisis to the next, reacting to life. That's the difference. You stop reacting to life and you start creating life. Yeah.
Yes.
And not only do you accomplish more, you're going to have a heck of a lot more fun doing it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Enjoying it too. Yes.
We wouldn't be given all these senses if we weren't meant to experience them.
Right. And that doesn't mean that life is not going to be challenging. There's not going to be any challenges.
But the challenges become fun too.
But it becomes easier to take on those challenges.
Well, we make something good or bad. That's the mind.
Right.
That's the mind. Even the challenges can be fun. It's like a puzzle to solve and to work through. We make something bad or evil or unpleasant. That's all us. That's not life.
Right.
You choose how you interpret every event that happens to you. You can live life in reactionary mode, like things are happening to you. You can decide that life is happening for you, even the parts you didn't plan.
Exactly. Yes. That is one thing that I've been just analyzing more and more and just embracing it more too, is that life doesn't happen to you, life happens for you.
Yeah.
You just said it. Yes. Yeah.
Even the bad bits. But again, it's us deciding it's bad.
Is it really bad? Like, what is really bad? Right? It's all a perception that we learn from this world.
Yeah.
And everything that is already self-limiting beliefs, good or bad.
Really anything. And somebody might be listening to this and like, how dare you say there's no bad in life? I've been in a hospital bed the last 2 months. My question to you would be, what have you read? I wish I could have 2 months to catch up on my reading. What have you spent that time reading? Any experience. The experience, nobody wishes bad things upon anyone.
Yeah.
But with any experience, no matter how terrible, you still have the choice what to make of it.
Right.
If I was bedridden for 2 months, I would catch up and read all the books I'd ever wanted to. It wouldn't be a bad experience for me.
Right.
You see what I mean?
So it's the attitude that you give to it.
It really is. This isn't just a pep talk. It really is the attitude. You make something good or bad. It's not the circumstance. But once you understand energy, even the circumstances start being random. You can create your circumstances. We've always had this power. We've just given it away. We've decided to live life by default and reacting to it. That's not the way we were meant to live.
Right. And I feel that that's why we connected.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I decided to collaborate with you.
I'm honored.
Because I feel that there is a huge need for people to experience this awakening.
Mm-hmm.
This awakening.
Yeah.
With Tantra.
Well, that's why I jumped at the chance,
Yes.
because I'm always about how do we get more people into this? Not just the
it.
people that want to have better sex. Like, I want to reach everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Healing.
How can we make people aware of the other 95% of Tantra?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I jumped in.
Right.
Can we talk a little bit about it?
Of course. Please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I'm really excited about this. I mean, you're an expert in self-love and getting through limiting beliefs and blocks and what I know about Tantra. I mean, I'm really excited. We're working on a course that's going to be all about how to practice Tantra at first by yourself. You might have the perfect partner. That's great. You might still be working on attracting the ideal partner. That's no longer a barrier. We're developing a course on how to practice Tantra with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
First, master those principles, master those core tenets. And I'm really excited to work with you.
I'm so excited, like super excited too. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited for the people that will be able to have access to the course.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the course I wish I had 20 years ago.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. This is the course that I needed 7 years ago when I was going through divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Or even before that. Yeah. If I had had that course during the time that I was married, I would have left, before.
Yeah.
And really start my awakening.
This was 7 years ago?
This was 7 years ago.
It's interesting.
Number 7.
Yeah.
We were just talking about.
My divorce was 7 years ago. More synchronicities.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. There we go. How amazing is that? But see, this is why I see it now, why life happens for you. Because if you have not gotten divorced, if I have not gotten divorced, we will not be sitting right here next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about Tantra.
Yeah.
Talking about how we want people to live a better life, happier life, to experience truly what joy is in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To have that interaction, to have a better, more meaningful connection.
Well, this is it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. People living life more fully. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with Plato's cave?
No.
The cave?
No.
He's got this story called The Cave, and it's about these people. They're like prisoners. They're chained to the ground, facing, their back is to the door, and they're facing the wall of the cave.
Okay.
So they're not seeing the real world. They're just seeing people's shadows on the wall as people walk in front of the entrance. But that's their only experience of the whole world. Meanwhile, the real world is happening behind them, outside the cave. This is exactly the perfect metaphor for Tantra. Yes. Everything we think is so wonderful, all the bright lights and distractions and, the movies, the sounds, everything out there.
It's not it.
That's just the shadows of what people could actually be experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the other thing. At the end of the novel, they realized that the chain's not even attached. They could have gotten up and turned around and walked out anytime they wanted.
But all they could see
was the chain. Yeah.
And they didn't take the time to look at what was attached to.
They just accepted it. Yeah.
And that's
and
how
meanwhile,
it is
the whole world was happening right behind them.
And I feel like that really, it is what is happening right now. People are just accepting the real world. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you hear that phrase all the time? It is what it is.
No, it's not. You are creators. You have the power to create things, to change things.
Right.
Yeah, don't give up your power.
Don't. No.
Yeah.
See, when I hear that phrase, it is what it is. Right now, when you
only because you allow it.
Because you're allowing it. Because you're not allowing.
Because you're settling it for it. Yeah.
You're not taking the time to look up. Okay, is the chain actually,
Yeah.
Put with something else? Is it?
Or is it just your own mind, your own perceived limitations?
No, it is. Mm-hmm.
It always is.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh my God. This has been an amazing Oh, this is amazing. Oh,
But
no, it is.
you asked me how life has been different since I started studying it. This is how. Everything's different. Literally everything's different. It's like when Neo at the end is getting shot and he just takes one look at the bullets and holds up his hand and they stop in midair and drop.
Yeah.
It's on that level.
It's on that level, yeah. You are at that level.
We all are.
Right.
That's my message. We all are. I'm nothing special.
Right.
I've just studied this
what
a little
I mean
bit
is
longer.
that you started
We all are.
and you've been practicing long enough where now you can actually teach others to get to that level too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I'm nothing special. Everybody's got this capability within them.
Yes. And that's what we want to show in the project, in our course.
Well, that's why we're starting with Tantra for One. Yeah, of course it's fun with a partner. That's how most people think of Tantra. There's always pictures of two people sitting facing. No, what about Tantra with one? Let's start with one.
Right.
Let's discover the power of one.
Right. The power of self-love.
Let's discover what's
the first love should be within yourself. It is within yourself.
Absolutely.
It is. Yeah. Yes. Oh,
that's why I'm excited. This will be unlike any other course I've ever seen.
It really is. Yes. I never seen or heard a course about it.
I mean, neither. I have to admit, I was even a little resistant when you first suggested. I'm like, well, for one, like that's not really what I teach. Wait a minute. That's perfect.
Right. It has to start within yourself, right? Healing starts within you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's what it always is. I mean, as a healer, I know myself personally, I've always had trouble with the term healer. I don't think that's what I'm doing. I'm facilitating. The healing is always being done by them. Everyone is their own healer. I'm just facilitating.
Right.
You know, whether it's a therapist giving them some piece of know-how or as an energy worker, giving them energy, like I am not doing the healing. I'm providing the resources, the basic building blocks
the channel
for them to do their healing.
Yes. The way I see it now is like we're like a channel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ultimately, everybody's always doing their own healing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tantra for One, I mean, this is exactly taking that principle to the next level.
To do their own healing. Yeah.
We're just going to give them the tools.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Me too.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
I'm just looking forward for more knowledge, more practice, more education. That's how I feel. I almost feel like I'm in school right now.
That's how I feel, even as a teacher. Like every day is school. Yeah. I love it. It never gets boring. It never gets old. Every day there's something new to discover, new to experience. Yeah.
Oh yes. And I feel like that's what the Tantra practice is. Every day you discover something different. And something new, something that we didn't even like, oh wow.
Even if it's doing the same old things, is the thing. Like you can still experience doing them on a different level. Absolutely.
Yes. And I do feel like for me, even at the beginning of the year, I was worrying about certain things. I feel like the more and more I practice, I have this like practice with energy, the less and less I worry about certain things.
Yeah.
Because I feel like those things are just temporary things that will be taken care of on their own. Somehow they're going to take care of them. And I have learned to trust.
Yeah, trust is a big one. Trust. This is like my mantra. Whenever I feel fear, whenever I feel uncertainty, like literally I will repeat the word trust over and over in my head.
Trust, yeah.
That is the cure for fear.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Andrei. I'm just so glad to have you here.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.